It's so obvious. A massive Bitcoin breakout is imminent, with Bitcoin just a few $100s away from breaking this 7-month-long trend. As soon as it breaks, Bitcoin is going to explode to this price that I'm going to talk about in this video. Not only that, but when Bitcoin does this, it's going to drag a huge portion of the large cap alts along with it, and I think in particular these key altcoins that I'm going to talk about as well. This is an incredibly important video because we're going to talk about the strategy that I'm going to use to make massive gains during this bull market, and I think it's going to help. So hit the like button, let's get into today's video. Now guys, I know what you're thinking. Bitcoin right now has been in this trend, and every time we're heading up towards this purple line, you've been hearing people like me and others say the same, and that's fine. I get a bit excited sometimes. But right now, there's a reason it's more imminent than ever, and there's a few key charts that are going to prove to you that this is about to burst. Now, the more times you hit into this line, the more chances it has of breaking, okay? It doesn't mean it's a stronger line of resistance. What it's doing is it's soaking up the sales every time, and what you've got up here is a bunch of bears who've got massive short positions, and once we hit into those, going to liquidate those positions and send the price of Bitcoin significantly higher at a very fast rate, which is why we saw this happen previously, and because of the kind of the length of time we spent here, it's going to be so much faster and bigger than you can even anticipate. Now, before we talk about where Bitcoin is going to head in the short term, I want to talk about why it's such an imminent push and why this time it's different, okay? I'm going to prove it to you. Now, partly, it's clearly seen here in the stock market. The US stock market, S&P 500, is pretty closely correlated to crypto. Why is that? Well, the macroeconomics that drive liquidity into these markets is the same for each of these different markets. It just happens in different orders. S&P 500 is much less risky, perhaps, than investing in crypto. Therefore, the money that gets brought into the markets through interest rate cuts, through money printing, etc., arrives in the stock market, which is why the US stock market is now at all-time highs and continuing to explode, and it will continue to explode as long as liquidity arrives in the system. And liquidity will continue to arrive in the system for at least the next 6 to 12 months. Why? Because it does this every 4 years. It goes up and then it goes down, and this happens like clockwork. And you're like, yeah, but why has Bitcoin just been going sideways for the last 7 months? Again, another good question. Well, I think it's because of this. Bitcoin was significantly higher at this point than perhaps it should have been. Why did it explode so quickly? I think because of two reasons. One, Bitcoin ETFs gave a lot of attention to crypto. Lots of people entered speculating on Bitcoin price growth. However, we didn't have the liquidity yet in the markets to support this growth, okay? Like anything, if it goes up too fast, it has to come down for a while before it catches up. Right now, we're just seeing the price starting to catch up to where it should have been, probably around here, okay? We probably should have seen something a little bit more like this, rather than a rip and a dump. Not only the Bitcoin ETFs, but I also think because there's more retailers in the space who are a bit smarter because maybe they were in the last bull market, we're all entering with the promise of big gains, and we've been aping in probably a little bit too aggressively back in this part of time. So simply, the Bitcoin price was running ahead of itself. Now it's had a chance to cool off and calm down, and it's ready to go again. You've got China printing record sums of money right now. You've got the US also printing record sums of money, about to cut interest rates around the 8th of November. You're also 25 days away from the US election, which is always incredibly bullish for crypto because markets typically see quantitative easing leading into those elections. And after the election, always historically, you have very bullish periods of time in the markets. But what about those people that were telling you that Bitcoin's already hit the top of a bull market? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm afraid that you are wrong. And here is the proof of that. First things first to consider. Bitcoin becomes the most talked about thing across the internet. Right now, this is lunacrush.com. You can see that cryptocurrency is their 12th most talked about subject on Twitter. Right now, number one is celebrities, and you've got countries and technology. Nothing really that useful. Crypto will always be number one at the top of the bull market because the game is to get everyone into the bull market. Also, has your mum asked you which altcoins you're holding yet? If she hasn't, then it's not the top of the bull market. If she has, then you're lucky because you've got a cool crypto mum. Has your barber used the words diamond hands to you? Probably not. And if they haven't, again, you haven't seen the top of the bull market. But all jokes aside, here's an incredibly important chart to see. This is daily exchange volume. Now, you might have noticed when the markets are pumping, you tend to go and use exchanges more. You buy and sell crypto more regularly, yeah? And that means when the markets are at the top, you can see the biggest daily exchange volumes. Okay, this is all the daily exchange volumes from centralized exchanges. And in the last bull market, we went above $150 billion in a single day. Right now, in terms of tops, we saw in March, we've only hit around $100 billion, okay, which is significantly smaller than it was in the last bull market. And contrary to what you're saying, there will be more people in this bull market than there was in the last. How do I know that? It's because of Metcalfe's law. You've probably heard Raoul Pal talk about this, the network effect. We all talk about crypto. You might have got in on this bull market, and you've done that because your friend made money in the last bull market. And typically, this is the way. Okay, you will see more people arriving in the space over time as it becomes more popular. So, due to this, you have literally not seen the top of the bull market. I think we need to see $200 billion to $250 billion to even be anywhere close to the top of the bull market. And you're like, yeah, but what about DEXs? Yeah, good question, but new people don't use DEXs. Okay, new people in crypto typically will use Coinbase, Binance, Bybit, Mexi, Bitfinex, or any others, okay? So let's get on with it. What we're going to see is potentially Bitcoin moving to the next layer of resistance, which is here. A bounce could be seen by a pullback and then a push like this. Now, that would be quite common, and if you see that up to around 69k, it's still very positive. We're going to get full send on Bitcoin very shortly. However, you might notice previously we never really see any pullbacks happen. And a lot of people might be waiting for those pullbacks, in which case Bitcoin could well just rally beyond them and rocket all the way through, taking out all of those short positions that I talked about. And from a chart perspective, this is a bull flag, okay? You can see that we take the height of the flagpole from the most recent pullback before that started, and then you bring it up, and you can see that that takes us to a perfect $101,240. Now, does it go up in a straight line? I would be kind of shocked if it does. Personally, I think that we could be heading up to around kind of these highs and maybe a bounce around here to retest before moving on. It depends on kind of other catalysts within the market and what the kind of game is to be played. But once this starts to play out, Bitcoin is heading much higher. How much higher? I do think there's a chance that we head at some point towards around $130,000 to around $180,000. And yes, that is a very broad brush guess. Therefore, we don't want to rely on the price of Bitcoin to indicate where we are in the market, but only should we rely on centralized exchange volumes, on number of search volumes for cryptocurrency, when crypto apps like Coinbase and Binance are the most downloaded apps in the App Store, when every news channel is telling you every day that Bitcoin is hitting new highs, when you see Cathie Wood and all the big banks telling you that Bitcoin is going to go to $1 million, that's usually where the top is. Maybe that happens when Bitcoin's at 200k, maybe it happens when Bitcoin's at 90k. So whenever that happens, be very cautious. When the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index hits 90 plus, again, be very cautious. Pretty easy, right? And when you're thinking about trying to sell all your stuff to buy more Bitcoin, it's probably time to sell it. Okay, knowing that Bitcoin is going to go much higher, we then need to identify which altcoins are going to go with it, because there is a path to altcoin season. But there's a question about this. You've probably seen this before, but it's now changed a bit. Why? Because Phase 2 says Ethereum. I think instead of Ethereum, we've seen Solana running in the Phase 2 position, and maybe that means that we might not see such a good pump from Ethereum this bull market. There is another argument to say that we haven't even seen Phase 2 yet, and that Ethereum might still have a good pump and then move into the large caps. But I think with all the other layer ones out and about right now, Ethereum is seemingly struggling. I do think that we are going to move from the Solana kind of Phase 2 area into the larger caps. And we've already started to see this happen in a few key large caps. I talked about Sui the other day, that's now up around 130% since that call. I talked about Aptos, which is now up about 30 or 40% since that call. These large caps are starting to show their excitement. Now, should we be aping into large caps or small caps right now? Here is the secret sauce to success in this bull market. Many people who are newer to crypto will look at two coins, one with like $1 billion market cap and one with like a $10 million market cap, and they'll say, I don't want to invest in this big coin because I can't make 20x on it. And you're right, you can't. I want to invest in this $10 million market cap coin because if it goes to $1 billion, then I make myself 100x. And you could potentially make yourself 100x that way, but that small market cap coin can also go to zero. That big market cap coin is more than likely to get a 5 or 6x before those small caps even run. If we understand where liquidity moves through this market, it arrives in Bitcoin, that money will then flow into the large caps. The large caps go up, giving us a chance to make a 5, 6, maybe 7x. And once we've made all that money, we can then be more of a degen and take that money and invest in the riskier small caps. One, it gives us a chance to have more exposure, but also by that time, there is money flooding into those smaller caps and giving us an opportunity there. So understanding that the market doesn't all move at once is our key to success. Therefore, I've been aping into large caps and moving out of my kind of like smaller cap losing positions that haven't been doing so well, which to be honest has paid off pretty well. And I know many people out there will be like, why don't you just buy meme coins? Meme coins are the way. Right now, I'm a little bit concerned with where meme coins are at. Remember what I told you about when Bitcoin shows itself at the top of the market? Everyone's telling you to buy Bitcoin when Bitcoin's at the top of the market. Everyone right now is telling me to buy meme coins. Now, I do think that there are a few meme coins that will have a really good bull market. The likes of Whip, the likes of PopCat, the likes of Ponky, and a few others. But these meme coins between them are probably now going to be doing 5 to 10x's. I would struggle to find any of these big meme coins that are going to go and do 100x from here, okay? The smaller cap meme coins do provide you that opportunity. But the problem with that is the same as it is with the small cap altcoins. It's very difficult to identify which small cap meme coins will actually run. Be less risky now, find the bigger caps, okay, make some money in those big caps. Then down the line, once you've 7x'd or 8x'd your bag in large caps, go and be as degenerate as you would like. So yeah, my point is, when everyone's telling me to buy a meme coin, or telling me to buy any coin for that matter, then it's probably not the place I want to be looking at. I want to be looking at the place where everyone's like, oh, utility coins are dead. Don't get into utility coins. You're not going to make any money. Fair enough, there's this much chance that you're right, but this much chance that you're wrong, because if everyone is telling me to do something, I do the opposite, and it never really fails in crypto, okay? Everyone is usually wrong. Do the opposite of what everyone is telling you. Everyone right now seems to be shouting out meme coins the loudest, and that's quite scary. So what to do? Come across to Crypto Bubbles, okay, and look at the top 1 to 100. And you can see that the biggest coins right now, the top performers have been meme coins. And if you've been making money in meme coins over the last few months, then that's absolutely amazing. Good for you. Congratulations. But right now is when you maybe want to be starting to take some profits on some of these big memes that have been kind of come from nothing and burst towards the upside, because when the altcoin market rips, it will pull that liquidity away from the meme coins. There's a few other ecosystems in here that are very much worth paying attention to. And typically in an early bull market, you will see the layer ones, the bigger layer ones, start to see some good growth. Which layer ones can we identify in this pile that might be showing something interesting? You can see Say is up 10% in the last week. You've got Aptos up 12% in the last week. You got Sui up 14%. You got Avalanche up 8.6%. These are very interesting places to be looking, and it's very easy to identify which ones are worth looking at because you can see it in their volumes. This is DeFiLlama.com, and I've showed you this time and time again. This is Sui. You see the TVL is going to all-time highs. You can see the volume is just going crazy as well. But Sui has been running very hot recently. Okay, why has it been running so hot? Because maybe the VCs have been injecting a bunch of liquidity, very typical in layer ones, and also because it's getting a lot of usage, you're getting a lot of new projects building on chain. So maybe Aptos could be a better option than Sui right now. Similar kind of market cap, maybe a bit smaller. Again, TVL going crazy, but also look at the volume direction on Aptos right now. This is indicating that Aptos could be a decent bet. I'm not telling you that these coins will likely make you like a 20 or 30x. They probably won't. But in the short space of time, these coins will likely be the ones that run with Bitcoin earlier, because you can see all the volume and stuff going in them now. When people come into the market, the retail get excited again, they're going to start to use the hot chains that have got all the volume running through them. The data doesn't lie. Okay, I don't have any feelings towards one coin or another, but the data doesn't lie. Avalanche is an interesting one because it's been pretty quiet and you can see the TVL not doing much, but it's worth paying attention to this. I'm personally not buying into Avalanche right now. I do hold Sui and Aptos as a disclaimer. I'm not associated with them, but I do hold them. Now, what we're seeing right now, Avalanche is starting to pick up. What is going to be maybe a catalyst for Avalanche? We're seeing a game called Off the Grid launching soon, which everyone is talking about because it looks like a pretty sick game. It's built on Avalanche. If that takes off as a game, you could see a load of transactional volume running through Avalanche. You then might see a load of new games starting to launch on Avalanche. And we could see another run like we did back in last part of last year. Avalanche have really strong runs at certain points because of the volume. It's so easy. You can see Say as well, which I haven't really given much attention to. TVL also looking pretty good. Again, if you look at the volume, it's been slightly quiet, but it's still picking up. These are all good indicators, in my opinion, to tell you that these are probably pretty strong early bets. Now, how do we know when to take profits on these? Now, obviously, pay attention to what's going on in the crypto markets. These coins will likely pump when Bitcoin is running strong, but the smaller cap altcoins won't be pumping until the Bitcoin dominance chills out. This is the Bitcoin dominance right now. You can see it's around 58.14%. You can see today that while the market is going up, you got Bitcoin up a few $100. The Bitcoin dominance is going strongly. Some of the larger caps are doing a little bit as well, not particularly crazy. Sui in the last couple of days been running very strongly. You've got Aptos here. You can see price starting to pick up down here. But I do expect that the Bitcoin dominance isn't quite finished yet. Therefore, we would likely see, as Bitcoin continues to rise and break out, a Bitcoin dominance increase to somewhere around the 60% mark. I don't see it getting significantly higher, maybe even all the way up to like 62. And you will see around this period of time good growth in large cap alts as well as in Bitcoin. This is the key. However, as soon as you see it topping out and doing something like this is when the small cap alts will rip. When will it happen? It's very difficult to know, but you will suddenly see one day Bitcoin starting to maybe chill out and go sideways, maybe even come down a bit, and the small cap alts as well as the large caps continuing to rip. What we're looking for Bitcoin to do something like this on the dominance chart. This is when the money flows out of Bitcoin into the riskier assets. You won't likely see this in the small caps until the interest rates come down in the US, but the large caps have already established they're seeing growth right now. That's where I will be heading. And if you want to know exactly when I'm going to be moving out of those larger caps into smaller caps, then make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because the market is done in different parts. If you're trying to buy loads of small cap altcoins right now, chances are some of them won't even make it, okay? And you might get stuck not making any money at all, and then when it's like major altcoin season, you're not going to really have enough bags to be going after stuff. So play it in sections. It's not about buying one coin today and trying to hold it for the next 18 months. You should be buying coins right now based on the data, wait for them to run, and then take profits on them, use those profits to start aping into smaller cap stuff within those ecosystems where you can also see some gains. But if you were to be kind of riskier and you really can't handle having to buy large caps, go to DeFi Llama, go underneath these ones, you've got Say, go and look for some of these projects underneath that are starting to show good growth on this particular network. Because on this network, if it does well, you can see some of these growing in TVL are good supporters. Here's a very good indicator of the health of the chain as well. Look at the projects underneath and how well they're performing. For example, come under Sui, you can see a lot of projects in the last month have been heavily up. In the last 7 days, starting to have a little bit of a drop. In contrast, you've got Aptos, which is probably the most green-looking one of all and probably makes the most sense. For everyone who's going to be down below being like, well, just buy this layer one and buy that, it's got better technology. Get that crap out your head. It's absolutely rubbish. Stop backing them just because of better technology. Back them because they're being used, okay? They're probably being used because they have good technology, okay? But they're probably being used for whatever reason as well. Maybe it's because they're backed by major VCs. Maybe it's because they're getting all the publicity. Who knows? But you want to back the winners because you're here to make money, not just tell everyone how high and mighty you are because you back some proof of work blockchain that no one uses. And of course, go across to CoinMarketCap. Every time we've seen the altcoin market running strongly, we've seen AI looking strong. Here you can see the tabs, click on AI, looking pretty good, okay? You've got Near Protocol having a pretty good time recently. Potenza looking very, very strong more recently. We're also starting to see gaming looking strong. If a game launches and gets played by major influencers, like Off the Grid is likely to do, there's a good chance that a bunch of other gaming projects will blow up as well. Okay, so pay close attention to what happens with Off the Grid. Personally, I'm not going to buy it on launch because every time you get a launch, you do see a bit of a dip. But I do think this Off the Grid game is very impressive and worth having a look into. And what it means for the gaming ecosystem is also massive. Look into real world assets, look into Deepin. Focus on the kind of larger ones here, okay? So gaming, Beam would probably do quite well. You can go and see some of the other ones. Superverse has been running well. Ronin also having a good time right now. Real world assets, look into Ondo, look into Clearpool, look into OM Mantra. Really very straightforward, guys. And all of these coins that I've just mentioned are all available through Bitchnix, which is linked down below in the description. And if you use Bitchnix through my link, you'll also qualify for various different airdrops that Bitchnix is giving away for the different coins and things that you're buying. Not only that, but you do not require to do a KYC no matter where you are in the world, and you don't need to use a VPN. If you can't find the coins that you want from this exchange, then list them down below. Every day they're adding brand new coins. They have the lowest fees pretty much market wide and one of the best exchanges. I use them all the time. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit that like button for me. If you're new to the channel, then make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow in another video. Bye-bye.